We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Tuesday, December 2nd here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Ki.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, and also Moonju's with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's only the second day of the work week, but I think many people are already starting to feel the weight of their schedules. For some, Tuesdays can actually feel tougher than Mondays. The adrenaline from the weekend is gone, and the reality of the week ahead starts to sink in. So that got me wondering about how people manage their emotional bandwidth during the week. So we all have moments when we feel a little more sensitive or easily irritated, and often shows in the way we communicate or handle external stress. So Ki, when do you personally feel the most sensitive or on edge?
Right now. Just kidding. So I'm not too sensitive or on edge work-wise. I may seek for perfection, but that doesn't necessarily give me too much stress. I try to enjoy my work, and I do for the most of the time, despite the could be highly stressful situations, such as dealing with the very important figures from all around the world, like the UN Forum, IOC meetings, the President of Korea being there, you name it. I might get a bit nervous, but I enjoy the moment. Well, of course, my body doesn't keep up with me as I'm getting older, but I normally get stressed when it comes to relationship with people and family. Navigating relations has always felt incredibly challenging for me in social or work settings. I wanted everyone to love me and get attention like a little doggy. But I was especially afraid of making enemies or creating conflicts, and my family means the most to me, and I felt even more pressure and stress in those relationships.
I think what you said is really relatable. I think people tend to focus on how to deal with work-related stress, but it's really human relationships that's like the most stressful.
Exactly.
So do you have like a tip of how you personally navigate or like manage human relations?
I let them do whatever they want.
Oh, I see.
First. And then I observe and watch, and then try to figure out their emotion. And when they feel good, then I go there and then tell them in person. Otherwise, if they're angry, if they're irritated, and I go there and I yell at them, it doesn't work.
I think these are good tips, which is why I'm sure you have great relationships with people. So what about you? What about you, Moonju?
Yeah, I get nervous when I receive too much attention. So, back in my college years, you always have to do group projects and stuff, right? And you have to present in front of your whole class. And I was like shivering so much, my legs were shaking too hard. So my friends were like, hey, get out of my way, I'll do it for you. He was my hero that day. Anyways, friends who have known me for more than a decade is currently like, they're very surprised that I'm doing this here in front of camera, like in front of a lot of people here. So these days, I think I feel I kind of overcame such fear, but I'll still have to admit that if I am standing in front of large audience, I still get some fear and nervous. Yeah.
But I think that's quite inspirational. Like how do you think you kind of overcame that fear?
Well, if you're just thrown into this situation, you get to adjust to it, and you get to overcome it. That's how I overcame it, I think, yeah.
Right, so everyone has different things that trigger them or make them feel really sensitive. So we're going to dive more into this topic, but first, let's take a look at the screen. Personality quizzes have never gone out of style, and for good reason. People everywhere are always looking for new ways to understand themselves a little better. These days, new quizzes seem to pop up constantly and quickly capture people's attention. And one quiz that's been making the rounds recently is the HSP Test, short for Highly Sensitive Person Test. Today on News Generation, we're taking a closer look at why the HSP test is trending, what kinds of questions and indicators it includes, and importantly, how we can use these kinds of personality tests in a healthy, balanced way. So as we just saw in the video, personality quizzes continue to appeal to people who want to better understand themselves. And recently, the HSP, or Highly Sensitive Person Test, has been especially popular among the younger generations. So for viewers who might not be as familiar with this test, what is the HSP test and what does it exactly measure, Moonju?
Yeah, this test is quickly gaining traction among the MZ generation. So this stands for highly sensitive person, a term used to describe individuals whose nerve systems are innately more reactive to external stimulation than the average person. So Because of, this heightened sensitivity, they often expend greater mental energy in interpreting social emotions and signals, which can lead to higher energy consumption and quicker fatigue. So this HSP test helps reveal whether someone falls into this category of heightened sensitivity person based on your sensory responses, emotional reactivity, environmental influences, and even internal or social sensitivity figures. And I myself took this test and received 48 points. This kind of puts me in the range of moderately sensitive range, meaning reactive enough to notice, subtle cues, but not so reactive that it interferes with my daily life. Yeah.
So I actually took this test too, and I got something in the 50% range, which was kind of surprising because I thought I would be, I think I'm a bit of a sensitive person, but I got it in the 50% range. So after taking this test, I can see why HSP test has been getting so much attention among the younger generations. And the idea that some people are simply wired to react more sensitively to external stimulus, like you said, like light, sounds, emotions, or social cues, definitely probably resonates with a lot of people watching. And hearing your score, you said you got 48%. It sounds like many people discover they're on the sensitive side or not, but usually not necessarily to a level that disrupts daily life. So I think that's what makes these quizzes so appealing. They offer a quick look that helps people make sense of their own reactions. So to understand this better, and for those who haven't taken this quiz, what kind of questions are usually on this HSP test key?
Right, so online HSP tests usually consist about 20 to 30 questions, and if your average score is above 5 out of 7-point scale, there's a good chance that you lean toward the HSP spectrum. So when you take a look at the screen, I brought some sample questions. Our viewers and 3 of us are going to play a game here. We're going to have our palms up with the 5 fingers, and if you think you agree with this sentence, then just simply fold your finger. Number 1, I become easily sensitive to bright lights or loud noises.
For me, it's loud noises. I get scared easily. So
Loud noises. Number 2, I get overwhelmed quickly when handling multiple tasks at the same time. Number 3, I quickly pick up on the atmosphere or mood of people in my surroundings. Number 4, I react sensitively to unexpected changes. Number 5, even small comments from friends or family stay with me for a long time. So I got to...
I checked 4. You checked all 5?
5. Yeah. I have no fingers left.
So let's say, just like Moonju, if you scored more than 3, I'd ask you to take the full free online test right now.
That's really interesting. So it looks like, apparently people in Korea tend to identify more with HSP traits. Is this true, Moonju?
I mean, true and false. Research suggests that about 20% of South Koreans are estimated to be HSPs or highly sensitive persons. Worldwide, this figure stays in between 15 to 20%, and South Koreans are 20%. So it's not like they're unusually more sensitive, but culturally, it feels like we are even in kind of higher range here. In South Korea, there has long been extending a strong belief that the more social cues you can grab, the better you'll do in your social life. So therefore, reading emotions or noticing unspoken signals and even staying attuned to others seen as essential skills of living here in South Korea. And these behaviors very closely resemble to the natural dispositions of HSP individuals.
I like what you mentioned about Korean culture, how that also plays a role, because I think in Korean culture, historically puts a lot of emphasis on the importance of being able to read the room and picking up on subtle cues. So it makes sense that many people here feel like they might be highly sensitive, even if the actual percentage isn't that much higher than the global average. And a lot of people say that the younger generations are also growing up under very different pressures compared to the past. So do you think the environment that the younger generations grew up in, the intense competition, concerns, and uncertainty about the future plays a role in why so many people, or so many more people, identify themselves as more sensitive, Key?
Yeah, we're always on a competition, right? So experts say that many MZ generations growing up meant constant competition, academic pressure, and the stress of landing a job. So all factors that can naturally heighten emotional sensitivity over the time. And today, whether you're a celebrity or an everyday person, it's an era where people openly talk about the depression, anxiety, and burnout. And in this cultural atmosphere, emotion-based traits like HSP are gaining attention more naturally. It fueled by a strong sense of shared understanding across society. So it's definitely different than before, where society as a whole had been reluctant to find out if the person suffers from emotional sensitivity, mental pressure, and all those sorts. And also as it was revealing their vulnerability, which could be considered as a weakness and socially weak.
I agree. It also sounds like growing up under intense academic pressure, competition, and job worries can actually heighten emotional sensitivity over time. And now with more people, including celebrities, like you said, openly talking about anxiety, burnout, or depression, traits of HSPs are naturally getting more attention and understanding also among the younger generations. So it's curious to see how this plays out in everyday life. We asked viewers on the Arirang News YouTube channel, what situations make you feel the most irritated? So according to responses, nearly half of people, 48%, said they feel most irritated in crowded places or when they're faced with intense emotional reactions from others. Work-related stress followed at 20%, while 18% pointed to being hungry or sleep deprived. Environmental triggers like noise or harsh lighting came in last at 14%. So it's quite interesting that almost half the respondents pointed to crowded spaces or the strong emotional reactions from others. And that really lines up what we talked about before, how social overstimulation can be one of the biggest triggers for highly sensitive people. And work stress also being the second highest isn't all that surprising. For many people, it is a daily source of pressure. And if you're already sensitive to emotional or sensory input, that stress can feel even heavier. So we've talked about our own experiences, what gets us really sensitive, but it's really important to get an expert's perspective on this. So we're going to talk to a therapist about this. So that conversation will come right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out Channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Yoon Jung, a therapist here in Korea. So hello, thank you so much for connecting with us today. So what would you say are the key traits of HSPs, and how can being highly sensitive affect you and also those around you?
There are 4 core characteristics of highly sensitive person, HSP, identified by Dr. Elaine Aron, summarized by the acronym DOES. D stands for depth of processing. Highly sensitive people think deeply and process information on a more reflective level. They tend to consider multiple angles before acting, which makes them thoughtful decision makers. O is for overstimulation. HSPs can become easily overwhelmed by their environment, such as large crowds, loud noises, busy schedules, or multiple demands at once. Their nervous system becomes overstimulated more quickly than others. E is for emotional responsiveness and empathy. They experience emotions, both positive and negative, more intensely. They're naturally empathetic and highly attuned to the emotions of others. Many avoid violent or disturbing content because they feel it more deeply. S is for sensitivity to subtle stimuli. HSPs notice cues that others often miss, shifts in facial expression or tone, changes in lighting, clothing textures, or small changes in the room. Many are also more sensitive to caffeine. Because of these key traits, HSPs may become drained or exhausted more quickly in various situations. They tend to need more downtime after social events and are often very aware of other people's reactions. At times, these traits may be misunderstood, as someone may appear withdrawn in relationships or lacking energy at work, when in fact they're just processing the environment. But these same traits also contribute to greater intuition, insight, empathy, and creativity in relationships and the workplace.
Thank you. So how has the people's perception of HSPs changed recently?
The word sensitive carried stigma and was viewed negatively for a long time. Dr. Aaron's research helped shift this perception by showing that sensitivity is a personality trait found in about 15 to 20% of the population. As awareness has grown, more people are recognizing the strength of sensitivity, and there is increasing acceptance and normalization of different temperament types. I think we're slowly moving away from the idea that sensitive equals weak and toward understanding that sensitivity can be a strength, especially in leadership, creative fields, relationships, and problem solving. Many HSPs are also learning to understand their trait better, reframe old negative beliefs, and manage their emotions in a healthy way.
Yeah, just to continue with your conversation, what are some ways that HSPs can healthily manage their emotions?
First one is identifying triggers and patterns. So noticing when and where you feel overwhelmed. Sometimes it can be the crowd, noise, pressure, or conflict, lack of sleep, overstimulation, someone's tone or facial expressions. So this kind of awareness helps HSPs manage their energy and set boundaries, so that you can choose what to participate and what not to. That means you don't have to be doing everything all the time. And it's also important to know what activities help you recharge. So sometimes spending time in nature, taking a nap or exercising, or drinking less coffee, anything that helps you. And reframing your inner dialogue. Sensitivity is often linked to a common thought, such as, am I being too sensitive or am I not enough? So this is often connected to a deeper core belief, and it helps to challenge assumptions, rely on evidence instead of emotion alone, and remember that non-HSPs respond differently. So tools like reframing thoughts, emotion journaling, cognitive behavioral therapy, inner child work, or using bridge statements can help shift negative self-talk. So for example, before you jump into am I too sensitive, am I not enough, using the bridge statements and saying, I am highly sensitive, I am not too much, I am simply processing more information, and reframing your negative thoughts. And remembering it's a trait, not a diagnosis. Being highly sensitive is not a mental disorder. It needs to be taken as something natural. But however, some characteristics overlap with symptoms of anxiety, ADHD, or depression, which are diagnosable. So if sensitivity is causing great distress or difficulty in daily life, I highly recommend seeking professional support for better health.
So I guess it all kind of starts with reflecting, kind of getting to know ourselves better, finding our own triggers. So I mean, this is all really good advice. So thank you so much for giving us a therapy session today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So we just talked to a therapist who helped us understand what it really means to be a highly sensitive person. We also learned about the key traits of HSPs and how perceptions of HSPs have changed over time, and tips on how to deal with being hypersensitive. But this does make us wonder about what is it about today's society that's driving people to take these quizzes in the first place? Why are personality quizzes like HSP test gaining so much traction and popularity, Key?
Sure, one of the reasons obviously can be found in the rising trend of self-analysis, and just like our therapists were saying, that we got to know ourselves better, and more people want to understand themselves better and are actively seeking the clarity, and you want the answers right away. In a world that changes at lightning speed, it's easy for our personal standards and sense of identity to feel a bit shaky. It's like MBTI, or was a blood type test before for millennial age. MBTI has been a new thing, and it sort of defines who you are nowadays. And that is why these identity type tests are so popular. They give us the language to explain our emotions and behaviors, helping us define who we are and offering a sense of stability in such a chaotic world.
Right, so I think people do have this desire to get to know themselves, and it's not just for fun. So they give people a language to understand their own emotions and behaviors, especially in a world that's changing so fast. So that makes me wonder, so how should we be using these quizzes in a healthy way, Moonju?
Yeah, I think it's important not to place too much weight on this kind of personality test, never as like absolute truths, including this HSP one and even the MBTI ones also, These can help you better understand yourself, but still, they should never become like limits or excuses for it to compromise your growth here. But you have to remember that every individual has different and unique personalities. So by recognizing these kind of differences, I think you can build healthier and even balanced relationships with other people. Yeah.
Right, so like our therapist said, it's a good tool to kind of get to know yourself better, which is really important, but at the same time, like you said, it's important not to judge people by
exactly.
it. So do you have any tips, Keith?
And on top of that, even if the test results feel like they describe you well, remember this is not a medical diagnostic tool. It's not signed by a professional. Many of these symptoms can overlap with other psychological factors, so if you feel unsure or need some clarity, it's always best to seek guidance from a professional. And I'll be honest here, throughout my long career, I've also suffered from the panic attacks and depression, so I had to be on a medicine after consulting several different doctors. It's rough, but surely helps, and you break the leg for some reason, then you go to see a doctor to heal that. If your emotions are hurt because you're a very sensitive person, or if you're under a lot of stress, your heart and mind are not healthy, so those psychiatrists can help. And if I were to add one more piece of advice though, finding a psychiatrist is like finding your lifelong partner. So I ask you to see 2 or more different doctors to find the right fit for you.
Thank you for sharing your story as well. I think a lot of people can relate to feeling anxiety. And at the end of the day, whether it's the HSP test or any other personality quiz, these tools are ultimately about understanding ourselves a little better. So being sensitive isn't a flaw, it's a trait. And tools like the HSP test can help all of us show up in the world with a little more empathy and a lot more self-awareness. And if we use them as guides and not labels, they can help us navigate our emotions, build healthier relationships, and move through an increasingly fast-changing world with a bit more clarity. So that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Ki.
Thank you, and be healthy.
Thank you for coming in. Also, Moonju.
My pleasure.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation.